more you practice competitive programming, the more comfortable you get with solving new questions and applying new approaches. And as per my experience, if you are good at competitive programming, if you have great experience in problem solving, then understanding and practicing data structures and algorithms will not be that tough for you. But I cannot say that the vice versa is true. So definitely you should practice competitive programming in parallel. Also, I would like to add that in many coding rounds and in interviews, questions may be asked based on competitive programming like number theory and all such things, and not just on data structure. So for that scenario also, it is nice to have some experience with competitive programming and to practice it regularly.
Thanks, Anjali. Thanks for that insight into what's important and what should we start with. Okay, so the question that many people face is ki, what is the phase of learning and what is the difference between the phase of learning and the phase of giving competitions and tests? Like when do one need to start giving competitions or start taking part in various contests, etc.?
So I would say for starting with contests, like regular contests that are being held on platforms like CodeChef and Codeforces, I think you should start now. You should start if you think that should I start now? Then if you're thinking that is your indication that you should start. You should not wait for some particular time or thinking that I will cover this much topics or I will have this much practice, then I'll sit for a contest. I think that approach is never good because you will be stuck in a loop and you will never actually reach that point where you are starting with the contest. Sit for the contest. Don't worry about your rank. Don't worry about anything else. Just sit for the contest and I'm sure you will learn something new. You will learn something new and that will allow you to analyze how much you can solve. And there is always a scope for improvement for everyone. So there is no right time to start for the contest. The right time is now. Just go for it. Just don't care about your rank for now. Just sit for the contest, understand what new things are present, and just if you start doing this, if you start analyzing all the new things that you learned during the contest, then you will start growing and eventually you will go ahead and solve more questions. So just get started. That would be my advice.
Great, Anjali. Thank you very much. So, Vishnu Pratap has a question for you. Ma'am, could you please suggest us some trusted online sources to learn coding from scratch?
Okay, from scratch, I would say if you want to start learning a language, then you can just go on to YouTube and search for the tutorials for that language. Learning a language, it has a learning curve that initially it may not seem easy. You may think that I need a plan to learn this, I need to understand each and everything. But it's a thing that if you get started with it just from the basic lectures and you start practicing with it, you will get better at it. So for learning a language, you need to get started and then start practicing. You should not run after understanding each and every concept right away. So for learning a language, I would say Geeks for Geeks has some courses like Fork CPP, Fork Java for learning particular languages, and you can also find good lectures in on YouTube. You can find really great playlists there. So you can start learning your language there, and then if you want to start solving questions, just jump onto HackerRank and start solving algorithm questions. They have warm-up, implementation, various category of questions, and those are really categorized in a way that you will start by solving easy questions that are great to get started. HackerRank is a good platform for that. And for a contest also, recently CodeChef has introduced Division 3 for beginners. I think that is a really great way to start. You can just, if you're a real beginner, if you are good with a language and if you can implement basic loops and structures in the language, then you can go for the contest. You can sit for Div 3 and you will find some questions that you can solve. Otherwise, it will be a great learning experience for you anyway. So you can get started with that.
Thank you very much, Anjali. So Mohammad Haris Qureshi has a question for you as well. Ma'am, you said that you should focus on a particular role in a particular company. So how can we find about that? What would be the particular role? That how should I figure it out?
Okay, so particular role, you will get to know about the opportunities. You can follow various pages on LinkedIn for that. And through your college also, through your seniors, you will get to know about the opportunity. And whenever a company is recruiting, they specify the role. It is whether it is a QTE intern, whether it is a SWE intern, and whether it is a product manager internship, they will specify the role for you. So whenever a company is providing an opportunity, they will let you know about the role. And you can also visit the career pages of the various companies, and there you can find the openings. And for the openings also, the roles are described. So for undergraduate students, mostly it is for internship as for the batches right now. And you can find these openings, and you can find the particular roles for that. So you don't need to worry about that. For with the opportunity, the role will also be specified.
Okay, thank you, Anjali, for that. I think Haris, you got a question, answer to your question. So there's a question as well for you in the audience only. What advice would you give to your past 1 year self?
Okay. So this is a tough one. I would say that I will give an advice that stop overthinking and over analyzing and over planning everything. Like I used to do this thing where I would think that I will cover all these topics, then only I'll start solving something. If I will learn each and every concept of C++, then only I'll start problem solving. And that was really a big barrier in my growth, because the perfection is impossible. If you think that you will cover everything, then that is never going to happen. You just need to get started. There is this one great line that I like to live by: the only way to get ahead is to get started. And I think I remind myself of that, and I would give that advice to my past 1 year self, that just get started, just do the thing, don't seek perfection, don't overthink and over analyze everything. Get started and practice hard, and eventually you'll reach your goal.
Thanks, Anjali. I suppose that was a nearly perfect answer to an open-ended question, and you handed it. So next question would be, which platform did you prefer for competitive programming? What was your preference as a student?
I really prefer CodeChef and CodeForces. CodeChef is really great for, first of all, for beginners. They have a long challenge which is conducted each month, as you all may know, and it is a really great way to get started with contests, because there is not a time limit, which most newcomers are not very comfortable with. You have a duration of 10 days, and during that duration, you can learn so many new things. If you just try to implement each and every question, it is a great learning experience. So I think for that, I really enjoy solving CodeChef long challenge problems. And for solving questions difficulty wise, I think CodeForces has a great platform, because they have clear demarcation of the difficulty levels, level A, type A, B, C, and so on. So if you want to practice questions based on difficulty level, CodeForces is great. And again, they frequently conduct contests in a duration of like every other day. You will find a contest there. So if you want to sit for short contest also, CodeForces have a high frequency of contests being conducted. So that is also a great platform for competitive programming.
So that means that we are on the right track moving with CodeChef college chapters, and we could help students in a better way as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you, Anjali, for that appreciation.
You can just
so there's a question from Rohit Jaiswal. To what extent does operating system and database management systems are asked in an internship interview?
Okay, I think it depends on the interviewer. For example, I'll share my experience. For our curriculum, OS and DBMS was not covered yet, and the interviewer was aware of that. So she asked me herself that what are the core subjects that you're comfortable in? Are you comfortable with OOPS? And I said, yes, that was in my curriculum. So she asked me a question on OOPS. So it depends on the interviewer. And if you're, for example, for our college, I think these subjects will be covered before the most of the internship and interviews begin. So you will be asked OS and DBMS, and it's almost always asked. I would say that like resume discussion is a crucial part. It happens in almost all interviews. OS and DBMS are also asked. So after your CP and the DSA practice, you should focus on covering these subjects. And if you're asking about the depth of the concepts, the extent to which they are asked, I would say based on that, They will ask you in depth. They will like to know if you have a good conceptual understanding. They will not just ask theory. They will like to know if you have the good grasp of the concepts of the subject. So whenever you're preparing, make sure that you understand each and every concept properly.
Okay. Thanks, Anjali. And I suppose Rohit got an answer to his question. So Harsh Verma also has a question for you. How to start learning any computer language from basics?
I think there are many courses available on Udemy and other platforms, but they are not really necessary from my personal experience. I learned C++ from I learned C as my first language from one such course, and it was a nice experience. But I think whenever I try to learn a new language, I just go on YouTube and search for the playlist, and various tutorials are present on YouTube. So if you're a total beginner, and if you want to learn a new language, just go on YouTube, search for the resources. You will find all the topics are covered in various tutorials, and then solve problems based on the language. You need to learn the syntax and then solve problems that are just meant to test your syntax knowledge. So you can find such questions on the internet easily. And if you already know a language and if you want to learn another language, you can try solving a question in the language you know. Like if you know C and you want to start learning C++, just solve a question in C, and after you have solved it, try to implement the same question in C++. Then the concept will not be a barrier for you. You just need you'll need to be familiar with the syntax of the language, so it will become easier for you to implement that. So I would say just start by looking for video lectures and other resources and just solve simple implementation problems using that language, and you will learn it with practice.
Okay, thanks, Anjali, and I suppose Harsh, you got an answer to your question. So there was a question which was raised with the answer you gave right now. So, how does CodeChef help a beginner to work on his skills working on any language through its resources or competitions? How did it help you as well, if you have an experience on that?
I think I would say honestly, CodeChef is the best way to get started with competitive programming, especially if you are a beginner. Because I think other platforms can be a bit intimidating for newcomers, but CodeChef is a platform which really makes you comfortable easily. They have so many resources, and especially the long challenge. It is such a unique opportunity that is provided only on this platform, which is really good for newcomers. And if you don't have much experience, and if you feel intimidated solving questions in like say 3 hours time for sitting for a contest, long challenge gives you a comfortable space where you can just get started, solve the questions as per your speed, research about the questions, learn new concepts, learn new algorithms, and in this way you always grow from it. So every long challenge, every other contest that is being conducted on CodeChef, it brings some growth for every person, whether they are a newcomer or they have some experience, because there is always something new to learn. So if you are a beginner and if you want to get started with competitive programming, then just you can really refer CodeChef for all your doubts, and for all the resources that are being provided. They have a curated list of resources also, and they have great contests, and long challenge is a really good way to get started. So do check that out, and do sit for long contest if you don't feel prepared for sitting for short contests just yet.
Okay, thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Anjali, for that. So there's a question from Atanu Dhadich for you. He's asking that, can I get an internship in a good company in second year by working dedicatedly on only CodeChef and GFG? That is Geeks for Geeks.
Yeah, I think actually to answer this, nobody can just give you a short way to reach somewhere. It really depends on the opportunity and how you have prepared. I mean, most of the people out there are preparing on CodeChef and GFG. These are popular and great resources, but it also boils down to how you use those resources. Just if you just think about solving a lot of questions, and you don't learn anything new from them, you just solve questions for the sake of solving them by looking at the editorial or finding the solution on some discussion forum. that will not help you grow. I mean to say that you should know how to utilize these resources to the best, uh, so that you can learn something from it. Because at the end, the interviewer may not ask you anything which you have ever seen on CodeChef or on GFG anyway. It will then come down to your problem solving ability. So to answer this in a different way, I will say that if you work dedicatedly on CodeChef and on GFG, while making sure you learn new things and you understand each and every concept properly, then I can say that, yeah, it is sure that you will get a good capability of problem solving, and that in turn will help you a lot in getting an internship. So there is no sure short way, because we never know what you will be asked in the interview or in the coding round. But yeah, to develop your problem solving capabilities, these are great platforms. And while solving questions or while learning new things, make sure that you are learning them properly and you are actually growing with it, not just solving it for the sake of solving it.
Yeah, true. That's pretty true, Anjali. So Nanda Kiran also has a question for you. Ma'am, I had started learning Python as it was easy. So can I continue with it or just change the language to C++ or Java as they are procedural languages?
I think if you have started learning Python, then you should continue with, because it is a language which is used not only in DS and CP but in also other fields as well. It is a very versatile language. But speaking from a technical point of view, C++ or Java has certain features that give you an advantage in competitive programming environment. So for that, I think you should know one of the both the languages, C++ or Java. Also because for some companies, while they conduct the coding interviews, the coding rounds, initial rounds, it may happen that they provide only the feature for C++ or Java. It rarely happens, but I have seen it happening, and for that reason, I always suggest that you should. It would be great if you know one of C++ or Java. Anyone you can learn, and it would be a thing that you will not face any company who will not provide C++ or Java as their option, but they may or may not provide Python as an option for that.
True. So that can be taken, but if I think your answer was appropriate, that if you have started building on something, you should first complete it and then work on anything else.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Anjali, for that. So Aditya Tiwari has a question for you. What was your priority, competitive programming or projects for internship?
For internships, I did not focus much on projects. My whatever project I created, they were the kind of projects that everyone makes to while they are learning some concepts of web development that are already available on YouTube. So it was nothing groundbreaking or complex. They were simple projects just to show the interviewer that I know these skills and I know how to implement them, and I know how to make a project and implement all the concepts that I have learned. So projects were definitely not my priority in this case. And coming to competitive programming, yes, I would say that was my priority, because not only for interview, from while I was learning DSA and while I was starting programming, CP was something that I was focused on, because I think, as I have previously mentioned, problem solving abilities are developed with time, and it needs practice, it needs experience. So for that, CP has been my priority. And I think for everyone who is not only focusing for an internship, but if they want to learn programming, if they want to get a good grasp of other programming concepts, CP should be a good way to start, and it should be a priority.
Okay, so thank you very much, Anjali, for that as well. So there is one question from, not from the audience, but from my and many others face this as well. How much this logic building is important for doing competitive programming? Like how much your logical approach, your logical skills help you in becoming a good competitive programmer?
I think they are very important. Logic building skills are important, but it is not something that someone can tell you that if you do this, if you learn this, if you read this, then you will have a good logic building skill. It is something that comes with practice. And if you wait for your logic building skills to develop to start CP, then it's not going to happen. If you do CP, then your logic building skills will develop. So I think they are really important, but also there are some specific algorithms, and there are many problems that are targeted at those specific algorithms that you cannot think of on your own. They are developed and they are widely used. They are not something that people think of on their own. So for that, along with logic building, you also need to have a good understanding of these algorithms. And from time to time, whenever you find a new question, you may find that there is a particular algorithm behind the solution of this question, which is a widely used and popular one. So for those algorithms, you need to do your research. Do your research whenever you find a new question. If you cannot solve it on your own, just if you go and search the solution for it, you will find these algorithms, and in that way only you can learn new algorithms apart from your logic building skills, which you will eventually develop while you do competitive programming.
Thank you, Anjali. So, last question of the day for you. Asmita asked you that how much rating can be considered good as of CodeChef and CodeForces are concerned.
This is a tough one, to be honest, because I think rating is something. If you consider someone a good competitive programmer, and if you visit their profile, it may happen that they were a 4-star, 5-star coder in the previous month, and this month they are a 3-star coder, and you might think, what happened? As the contests come and go, these ratings go up and down. So ratings are not really the only reflection of a person's competitive programming abilities. But just from a general overview, I can say that I would say 4 or 5 stars is considered pretty good for CodeChef. And for CodeForces also, if you are above specialist, it's great. If you're an expert or candidate master, next level. So that is great. But again, for beginners, I would advise, which is something that I keep reminding myself. It's not just about the rating. Rating is the consequence of your efforts. Your efforts should be your first priority. So focus on that.
Thank you, Anjali. So I'm very last question as well. Someone has posted, and it's a good question too. So Surbhi Jan is asking that how to apply for off-campus internships, and what extra things or what extra efforts do we need to put up to be able to bag those internships? And can you give us an insight on what companies we should apply to? A long question.
So for off-campus opportunities, I think opportunities, if you broadly divide them, first are the nationwide drives that are conducted by the companies like Goldman Sachs they have conducted their drives. Amazwa was a drive by Amazon, and Adobe conducts their own drives. So in these cases, they are looking forward to hire a large number of applicants. And in this case, you should definitely apply for them. You should look out for these particular drives, and you will be informed about them by your seniors. On LinkedIn, you will find the information about these drives, so you can apply for that. And companies which usually conduct these drives are Goldman Sachs, there is Amazon, there is Google, Adobe, and other companies as well, LinkedIn, Intuit. There are various companies that always conduct these drives. Other than that, you can also always visit the career page and look for the openings present on that, which they do not declare or promote openly. They just put it up in their career page, and if you visit it regularly, you can get an update of the openings available. But usually these openings are less in number, and it is difficult to get an interview opportunity for these openings. So for this, the process becomes a bit harder because they go through a rigorous process of resume shortlisting. So look out for these drives which are conducted every year. They are looking to hire good people, and they have a large number of openings in that case. So just look forward for these opportunities, and you can apply when these opportunities are available.
Thank you very much, Anjali and Surbhi. I suppose you got an answer to your question as well. I'm very sorry to others whose questions I couldn't take during this. You could always contact Anjali on her LinkedIn profile. Siddharth, I'd like you to put it up on the chat box so that everyone can get an answer to their query. And Anjali, it was really, really nice of you to be here with us, and it was a really good opportunity for me as well as many others who joined this chat today to interact with you. Just a last thing, do you have our first years who are just beginning their journey into competitive programming so that they can ace these things and get good achievements like you have?
Definitely. First of all, I'd like to thank CodeChef and ITRR chapter for this opportunity. It was really a pleasure connecting with you all, and it was a great discussion that we had today. And as per for the message that I would like to give to our first and second year students, as I said, just get started. Don't overanalyze, don't overthink. Always it happens that once you have done something, you look back on it and then you realize that it was simple. It was just a matter of time that you achieved this thing. If you keep practicing, if you are regular, if you're sincere, and if you have the right resources, then you will definitely achieve your goal one day. So just get started and be sincere, and don't focus much on ratings and other such things that you might see on various platforms entice you, but at the end it's your efforts and it's your learning that really counts. And when you get an opportunity to shine, these learnings will only help you in achieving the